Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to Weekly Wildlife Wisdom. As so far, I've been your host, Zero Yeti, and this is our India special. So happy India special. Let's go into it with the first animal on the list being the Indian rhinoceros, also known as the Indian rhino, the greater one-horned rhinoceros, or the great Indian rhinoceros. It is a rhinoceros species native to the Indian subcontinent, where they can be found in a handful of national parks throughout the countries of India and Nepal. The Indian rhino, alongside its close relative the Javan rhino, make up the genus Rhinoceros. And unlike most other species of modern rhino, which are typically solitary animals, the Indian rhino can often be found living in social groups of upwards of 6 individuals, typically consisting of mothers and their calves as well as subadults. Said groups are occasionally accompanied by a bull, but as they grow older, males often grow more solitary and loner in nature. These rhinos typically inhabit grasslands, open dry forests, and riverine woodlands, where they feed upon grasses, roots, leaves, branches, fruits, and aquatic plants. Because of their size, Indian rhinos have few natural predators except for tigers and mugger crocodiles, which occasionally prey on young, elderly, or infirm individuals. Males are typically larger than females, standing upwards of 6 feet tall at the shoulder and 12 feet in length, and weighing in around 4,800 pounds, compared to females which stand around 5 feet tall at the shoulder, reach 11 feet in length, and weigh around 3,500 pounds in weight. This makes the Indian rhino the second largest living rhino species after the white rhino, and also the second largest land animal in Asia behind the Asian elephant. These rhinos have a thick gray-brown hide with pinkish skin folds and one horn on their snout. Their upper legs and shoulders are covered in wart-like bumps, and they have very little body hair aside from their eyelashes, ear fringes, and tail brush. Adult males sport armored neck folds, and breeding occurs year-round, after a 15 to 16 month pregnancy, Indian rhinos will typically give birth to a single calf, which will remain by their mother's side for at least 2 years. Females reach sexual maturity sooner than males at around 4 years of age, with males reaching sexual maturity around 5 years of age. Under ideal conditions, an Indian rhino may live upwards of 40 years. Next up, we have the Bengal slow loris. Also known as the northern slow loris, is a species of slow loris strepsirrhine primate which is native throughout Bangladesh, India, Cambodia, Laos, as well as Burma, Vietnam, southern China, and Thailand. An arboreal species, the Bengal slow loris, tends to inhabit evergreen and mixed rainforests as well as bamboo forests, where they live either alone or in small familial groups. Their diet is comprised mainly of fruit, tree sap, gum, latex, resin, insects, snails and slugs, small reptiles, and even small birds. Bengal slow loris is itself preyed upon by pythons, hawks, eagles, owls, cats, orangutans, vivarids, and bears. Sorry, I just noticed I was bleeding. Reaching around 10 to 15 inches in length and 2 to 5 pounds in weight, the Bengal slow loris is the largest species of slow loris. And like other slow lorises, is a wet nose known as a rhinarum. It has also a round head, a flat face, large eyes, small ears, a vestigial tail, and dense woolly fur. The toxin it secretes from its brachial glands, which is a scent gland on each arm, differs chemically from other slow loris species, and may be used to communicate information such as its sex, age, health, and social status. The Bengal slow loris can be differentiated from other slow lorises by a clear, dark stripe that runs along its neck and top of the head. Also, unlike other slow lorises, the Bengal slow loris does not have a set mating season, and instead breeds around year-round based on the local resource availability. After a 6-month pregnancy, a mother typically gives birth to 1 to 2 offspring, which remain by their mother's side until becoming independent around 3 months of age. But they also typically remain near their parents for the rest of their lives. Under ideal conditions, a Bengal slow loris will reach sexual maturity around 20 months of age and may live up to 20 years. Next up is one of my personal favorite animals, which is the gharial, also known as the gavial, the Indian gharial, the Indian gavial, the fish-eating crocodile. It is a crocodilian in the family Gavialidae, which was once abundant throughout nearly every major river system of Nepal, Pakistan, India, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. Sorry. But today can be found only in isolated pockets throughout northern India, southern Nepal, and Bhutan. They prefer deep, slow-moving rivers where they feed almost exclusively upon fish, insects, small crustaceans, and amphibians. The gharial is the most thoroughly aquatic crocodilian and only leaves the water to bask in the sun or to nest. They are also amongst the most sociable crocodilians and can regularly be seen basking and swimming together in large groups. Females reach around 8.5 to 15 feet in length and 250 to 600 pounds in weight, and males reach 10 to upwards of 20 feet in length, anywhere from 350 to upwards of 2,000 pounds. This makes the Indian gharial amongst the largest crocodilians alive today. They sport an olive-colored hide with brown crossbands and speckles, with adults being darker than their young. Gharials have long, thin jaws well adapted for hunting in the water, but they have weak legs and are poor movers on land. However, they are extremely agile in deep water due to their long, flattened, muscular tail. Males have a distinctive bulbous swelling at the end of their nose, which is used to make sounds that attract females and intimidate males during the mating season, which lasts from February to April. During the breeding season, both male and female gharials will pursue each other until they decide on a mate they are happy with. After mating, the female will then lay and bury 30 to 50 eggs in a sandy riverbank. After a 71 to 93 day incubation period, the eggs will hatch and are often carried to the water on their parents' backs. Both parents will participate in guarding the hatchlings until they are able to defend themselves. Under ideal conditions, an Indian gharial will reach sexual maturity around 14 years of age and may live upwards of 60 years. Next up is the yo-yo loach, also known as the Almora loach or the Pakistani loach. It is a species of freshwater fish belonging to the loach family Botanidae, which is native to the slow-moving waters of Nepal, Pakistan, and northern India, particularly the Ganges Basin. They are a diurnal, bottom-dwelling species which spends their days foraging in groups of around 5 to 10 individuals, with much of their diet being comprised of small mollusks, aquatic worms, small crustaceans, carrion, algae, and aquatic plants. Reach around 4 to 6 inches in length, they have a small pointed head with a ventral mouth that has short barbels. Their body is long and slender but robust and covered in a pattern of black bars that are separated by silver and gold scales and black dots. The bars are not solid and split on their dorsal side. Their common name, yo-yo loach, was given to these fish by photographer Ken Childs, who noticed that these markings appear to spell the word yo-yo quite literally, looking like they have the letters letters Y and O written on the sides of their body. Their fins are almost translucent, and they have a forked caudal fin. Breeding occurs in shallow, clear streams upriver when temperatures reach between 71 and 77 degrees Fahrenheit. During spawning, a female can lay up to 5,000 eggs. However, not all of these will be fertilized. Fertilized eggs will hatch into fry, typically within 3 days. Under ideal conditions, a yo-yo loach will live upwards of 8 years. The Indian peafowl is next, also known as the common peafowl, the blue peafowl, the Indian peacock, or just commonly the peacock, is a peafowl species native throughout Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, the Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, and has been introduced throughout much of the world. They can be found in both temperate and tropical wet and dry forests, as well as croplands and human settlements. They live in small flocks called musters, typically comprised of 1 to 5 cocks, 3 to 15 hens, and their young. They are a diurnal species which spends the day foraging for food such as seeds, insects, worms, nuts, small mammals, flowers, shoots, amphibians, small reptiles, berries, and other fruit, before spending their night roosting in trees, tall boulders, cliffs, or in buildings. Indian peafowl are themselves preyed upon by leopards, dholes, golden jackals, feral dogs, large snakes, tigers, chargeable hawk eagles, and rock eagle owls. Females are noticeably smaller than males, reaching 3 to 3.5 feet in length and 6 to 10 pounds in weight, compared to males at 6.5 to 7.5 feet in length and 8 to 14 pounds in weight. This ranks the Indian peacock amongst the largest flying birds. Peacocks are famous for their bright blue shiny feathers and extremely large ornamental tail, which they fan out to show off their size and distinctive appearance of their eye-spotted feathers. This is designed to both impress females and to intimidate other males. Peahens look very different to their male counterparts, sporting brown feathers and a flash of blue along the back of their necks, and no tail fan. However, both sexes have a feathered crest on their head. The breeding season lasts from January to June, depending on rainfall and food availability. During such time, male peafowl gather in lek sites, which are areas where they display for females, in order to show off their tails. Females will visit and choose males to mate with based on their appearance, and both sexes may mate with multiple partners. After mating, the female will typically build a nest out of twigs and leaves and will lay 4 to 8 eggs. After approximately 28 days of incubation, the chicks will hatch and remain with their mother for 7 to 10 weeks before becoming fully independent. Under ideal conditions, an Indian peafowl may reach sexual maturity around 2 to 3 years of age and may live upwards of 20 years. Next up is the Bengal tiger, which is a population of the Panthera tigris subspecies of tiger, which in antiquity could be found throughout much of southern mainland Asia. However, in the modern day, its range has become limited to India, Bangladesh, Tibet, Nepal, Bhutan, and southwestern China. Here they tend to inhabit rainforests, dry forests, grasslands, and mangrove swamps, where they feed primarily upon large ungulates such as boar, deer, antelope, gar, and water buffalo. They're also known to occasionally hunt and kill other animals such as peafowl, monkeys, porcupines, dholes, hares, snakes, crocodiles, and young, elderly, or infirm leopards, bears, rhinos, and even Asian elephants. Females are typically smaller than males, average around 7.5 to 9.5 feet in length and 3 to 3.5 feet tall at the shoulder, and weigh anywhere from 150 to 400 pounds, compared to males, which reach around 8.5 to 10.5 feet in length, 3 to 4 feet tall at the shoulder, and 300 to 600 pounds in weight, with exceptionally large individuals reaching upwards of 700 pounds in weight and 11 feet in length not being unheard of. This makes the Bengal tiger the second largest tiger population after the Siberian tiger. The Bengal's coat is a yellowish to light orange, with stripes ranging from dark brown to black. The belly and the interior parts of the limbs are white, and the tail is orange with black rings. The white tiger is a recessive mutation trait, which is common in captivity and is reported in the wild from time to time. However, it should be noted that this is not an occurrence of albinism, and in fact, there is only one fully authenticated case of a true albino tiger in the wild. Male tigers will track receptive females through scent marking and scratches on trees. If the female is receptive, the two will mate and then go their separate ways. The female will give birth to a litter of 1 to 4 cubs in a den after a 3-month pregnancy. Tiger mothers begin to train their cubs to hunt when they are around 3 months of age and mature enough to leave the den. Cubs will stay with their mother until they reach around 2 to 3 years of age, at which point they leave to establish their own territory. Under ideal conditions, a Bengal tiger may live upwards of 20 years. And our extinct animal of the week is one of my personal favorites, Shringasaurus. It is an extinct genus of Allocotosaurian archosauromorph reptile, which lived throughout what is now India during the Middle Triassic period, some 247 to 237 million years ago. Shringasaurus is known from a single bone bed in the upper Dinwa Formation of India. Said bone bed has the remains of 8 well-preserved Shringasaurus individuals of varying ages and sexes, giving a good picture of how the animal developed as it matured. These fossils were excavated and prepared by Professor Saswati Bandyopadhyay, Durjati Sengupta, and Shiladri Das of the Indian Statistical Institute, where the fossils were also stored. It was Professor Bandyopadhyay, alongside Sadandri Sengupta and Martin D. Escura, who described and named the genus Shringasaurus in August 2017 from the ancient Sanskrit word for horn, Shringa combined with the ancient Greek sauros for lizard. The species name indicus is Latin for India in reference to the country of its discovery. I'm sorry if there's a lot of noise going around in the background. There's a very big storm going on outside. Where were we? Reaching around 9 to 13 feet in length and around 2,000 pounds in weight, Shringasaurus was a large quadrupedal animal which sported a boxy head on a long, muscular neck and a large barrel-shaped body with deep shoulders and ribs. It had a sprawled to semi-sprawled gait with its limbs and short tail. The horns of Shringasaurus closely resemble those seen in ceratopsid dinosaurs, despite asdensaurids and ceratopsians being totally unrelated to each other. The horns are attached to the frontal bones on the roof of the skull over the eyes and sit across almost the entire breadth of the skull. They are pointed up and curved forwards from the skull and would have been covered with a keratinous sheath of horn in life, extending said horns considerably. In life, Shringasaurus would have lived in dry alpine areas and riverine forests, where it would have lived in large mixed-sex herds as they fed upon leaves, branches, and fruit of various trees and shrubs. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode.